This morning, while I was getting ready to take a shower, I accidentally dropped the shower head onto the bathroom floor. The loud noise surprised me. When I picked it up and checked it carefully, I noticed that a small piece of plastic had broken off. Although the damage was not very serious, it still made me worried. At first, I thought about buying a new one, but I felt it would be a waste because the shower head was still usable. Therefore, I decided to look for a way to repair it and save some money. Even though I was not sure whether the repair would be effective and safe, I still decided to fix it. At first, I carefully disassembled every part of the broken shower head so that I could examine its internal structure. I placed each component neatly on the table to prevent anything from getting lost and to make the reassembly process easier later on. After observing the damaged part for a while, I picked up a leftover 21mm PVC pipe. I held it against the broken plastic section of the shower head, hoping that it might serve as a replacement. To my surprise, the pipe fit almost perfectly, as if it had been made specifically for that purpose. This discovery gave me even more confidence to continue repairing the shower head instead of spending money on a new one. Once I had found a suitable material, I used a heat gun to soften the PVC pipe. I was careful not to heat it for too long because the plastic could burn or become deformed. At the same time, I knew that heating it for too short a time would make it difficult to shape. As soon as the plastic became soft enough, I immediately used the shower head itself as a mold to create the threads. This was the most delicate part of the repair because even a slight misalignment would prevent the threads from fitting properly, making it impossible to assemble the parts later. I slowly twisted the shower head in the correct direction, one turn at a time, allowing the new threads to form as accurately as possible. When I felt that the threads had reached the required depth and fit securely, I wrapped a rubber band tightly around the newly shaped section to help the grooves maintain their form while the plastic cooled down. The pressure from the rubber band helped stabilize the plastic and reduce the risk of the threads expanding or becoming distorted during the cooling process. Looking at the result, I felt extremely satisfied. What had seemed like a broken shower head destined for the trash had been repaired using nothing. After waiting for the plastic to cool down completely, I finally moved on to the next step. If I had rushed to remove it while it was still hot, the freshly formed threads could have easily become deformed, wasting all the effort I had put in earlier. I gently touched the surface to make sure it had cooled completely before carefully twisting the PVC pipe counterclockwise along the threads. One turn after another, the pipe came off smoothly without sticking or showing any signs of cracking. Once the pipe was completely removed, I held it up to the light and examined it closely. The threads looked surprisingly even and well-defined, exceeding my expectations. Although they had been created entirely by hand, they were clean, deep enough, and appeared strong enough to ensure a secure connection. Looking at the finished piece in my hand, I couldn't and help but feel a sense of satisfaction. The idea of using the broken shower head itself as a mold for cutting the threads had initially been nothing more than a spontaneous thought, yet it had produced results that were better than I had imagined. Everything seemed to fit almost perfectly. This gave me even greater confidence that my repair method was not only practical, but also reliable. To verify the fit, I aligned the broken shower head with the newly threaded pipe and checked how well the two pieces matched. After determining the required length, I carefully marked the exact cutting point on the pipe with a marker. I double-checked the measurement to ensure there were no mistakes, since even a difference of just a few millimeters could make the final assembly difficult. Once I was satisfied with the measurements, I placed the pipe into the bench vise on my workbench. I carefully positioned it between the jaws of the vise and tightened the handle just enough to hold it firmly in place without damaging the newly cut threads. With the pipe securely clamped, it was finally ready for the next stage of cutting and machining. Watching each step unfold exactly as I had planned, I felt that the shower head I had once considered throwing away was gradually being brought back to life. Once I felt the size was exactly what I needed, I carefully removed the threaded pipe to avoid damaging the newly shaped surface. In my hands was a neatly reduced pipe and with smooth edges and no signs of cracks or distortion. I examined it closely and repeatedly tested it against the broken shower head. Each trial fit a little better than the last, and the increasingly secure connection filled me with excitement. All the effort I had put into measuring, cutting, heating, and reshaping had finally paid off. Seeing the result gave me the confidence that my old shower head could be brought back to life without the need to buy a brand new replacement. Once everything was finished and I was confident that all the parts fit together perfectly, I began reassembling every component that I had taken apart earlier. I worked carefully and patiently, making sure not to overlook even the smallest detail, because a single mistake could have ruined all of my hard work. Each connection was tightened with just the right amount of force, and every piece was placed back in its original position. After completing the main body, I gently attached the shower head and gave it a few careful turns to make sure everything was securely in place. Feeling all the parts fit together so smoothly filled me with satisfaction. The shower head was now firmly attached, with no looseness or misalignment as before. Looking at the finished result in my hands, I was genuinely surprised because it showed almost no signs of having been damaged. At that moment, I felt an incredible sense of accomplishment. With nothing more than patience, once everything was finished, I carefully reinstalled the repaired part onto the shower head. I tightened each connection one final time to make sure everything was secure. Feeling a little nervous, I slowly turned on the water and watched closely. The water immediately flowed out with a strong, steady stream, just like a brand new shower head. There were no leaks or loose connections at all. At that moment, I felt truly satisfied because all the time, patience, and effort I had put into the repair had finally paid off with a perfect result. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below.